Kate, you ready? You feeling good?
I'm feeling fantastic.
Yeah.
This is actually really, really fun. This is like hilarious to me. The preparation.
I feel like the mix of this episode of being funny but also not saying anything that literally gets me fired.
Correct.
Is there's gonna be a tension. It's just like podcast hard mode. Literally. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Per My Last Email, the show where we give you the hot takes and tactics necessary to navigate this crazy little thing called work life. My name is Kyle Hagee.
I'm Kaila Lopez.
And let me say, we're recording on a Friday, and I had a 30-minute meeting put on my calendar with HR on a Friday.
Scary, spooky.
Scariest moment of my life. Turns out it's just a podcast because we're joined by our head of HR, the SVP and head of people operations, Kate Noel. Kate, thanks for joining us in our amazing studio.
Honestly, look, I might have to swap out because this looks really, really good.
I know. This is a comfy, cozy cubicle.
How do you feel as head of HR that our fake studio office is nicer than the actual office we have to sit in?
A slight offense because I put the office together, but it's fine. We're off to a great start.
Okay, I've been
Kate.
fired. Yes.
30 seconds in. This is not going well.
New record.
Yes. So
After performance review.
the reason we brought in Kate is we're going to talk about, is Unlimited PTO a scam, and some of the perspectives from your view as head of HR, which I'm very excited to dive into. So I thought we could start by talking about how many days we've taken off this year thus far. So Kayla, how many days have you taken off?
Gosh, so legally?
To be clear,
Yeah.
everything should be legal.
Yeah.
and in compliance.
What is an illegal day off? Like you could go and commit a
share that
crime?
with us, Kayla. What's illegal?
Okay, so I think I've probably taken 3 or 4 days off so far this year, which is lower than normal. But I am getting married later this year, and I'm going to have a honeymoon, so that's going to be like 2.5 weeks towards the end of the year, so I'm kind of like not front-loading it. I'm waiting.
You're saving up.
But according to our HR software, I have 0 days taken off because Austin, my boss, CEO, will not approve any of my days.
The tea is coming out.
I've
Piping
still
hot.
taken the days, but
Also, is that what makes it illegal?
yes.
Okay.
Fair.
Because according to all the software or whatever, I have not taken those days.
Yeah. I've probably taken the same, like 3 or 4 days off. I do work a lot of the days I take off, but if I have to travel, I take a day off so I can go to the train, but then you're checking emails, you're checking Slacks.
Kyle doesn't take days off.
He's
always grinding. He's always on it.
Yeah. No, write that down.
No, it's mentally noted. This is ridiculous. Y'all need to take more time off.
Well,
How much have you taken?
Yeah.
Oh, girl, I'm outside. You know what I'm saying? I'm also a liar. I'm a liar, and I can't be trusted.
Okay.
In my heart, I take a lot of days off. But in the riveting world of human resources, there's just always so much to do. And so I can't share that information. It's confidential.
That's private information.
-3, actually, but who's counting?
Well, I'm very curious. We'll get into what Morning Brew's policy is, because obviously you had a big role in shaping that, and I want to get your thoughts. But first, just to set the scene, because I actually think this is a pretty interesting episode, because vacation in America and PTO in America is actually pretty wild.
It's a hot topic.
Clearly, people struggle even with taking any days off for whatever reason. So I have some stats for you. The average employed American took 15 days off of work.
So that's 3 weeks.
Last year.
Yeah.
34%, which was the highest percentage, fell into the bucket of taking between 11 and 20 days off.
Right.
47% took time off for vacations, followed by health and wellness, weddings, emergency situations, and family commitments. So most people, when they take time off, they're taking it for vacations. When they do take a vacation, 37%, the top voted vacation was a beach in a U.S. city.
Sick.
We even have some images of fake beaches in U.S. cities here. 33% preferred to spend it with a romantic partner, and this is all from a Harris poll, which we'll talk about later. And then, for whatever reason, Harris poll was like, we don't care about other vacation stats. We need to know, what's your go-to vacation anthem?
Okay.
What's your go-to vacation banger? They said, "Don't worry, be happy" was the top.
Why did they ask that?
I don't even trust this poll anymore because these people are lame.
Stats are wrong.
Yeah. HR is supposed to be a safe space, but I'm judging that song selection.
Yes.
And wasn't it like Bruno Mars was second? Or
Bruno Mars was second. Cake by the Ocean was the most popular if you were on a beach. So
that's a bad song. Sorry, don't cancel me, DNCE lovers or whatever the hell their name is. I think that's a wrong take, but I think all the other stats are very interesting.
Yes.
So that's great.
Okay, so what would your take be? What is the best song for vacation?
That is confidential.
Oh, mercy. I like your style.
You protect your amount of PTO. I protect my song choice.
We're so scared to say anything in front of Kate. She's such an innocent question. What's your favorite song? What's your favorite song?
That's mine too.
So that's kind of the state of play of kind of overall PTO vacation in the U.S. Kate, like, talk us through how you thought about the Morning Brew policy. What is the Morning Brew policy? Pros and cons you thought about when crafting it?
So I thought very selfishly, because anything I create for this company, I'm creating it for me.
Of course.
You're welcome.
Yes.
So anyway, the policy is unlimited. If that's a trigger word, I apologize. We're going to unpack that together. Yes. But unlimited in the sense where you start, there's no accruals. However many days you want to take, if your spirit tells you to take it, you should take it, but ask your manager, and that's how the approval goes. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
They should approve it in the HR system. And that's what makes it a legal approved PTO time off. Honestly, everyone's an adult is how I see it. And I think within this company, it's like if you're doing the work and it's efficient and it's meeting expectations, then go gallivant across America, frolic across the world, and that should be fine.
I love that. I think that makes so much sense.
And what's interesting on the unlimited PTO front, 2022, according to U.S. World News reports, it was 20% of companies offer unlimited PTO. So we're actually the exception to the rule. And of those 20%, or of the 20% that do, 75% are tech companies. So it's a little more prevalent in like the tech and media space, possibly. My take here is like unlimited PTO, it sounds or can sound really good on paper. You're like, I could take every day off if I wanted to, but studies show, which I don't actually have the studies, so I'm just going to say that. Studies show, what I've heard is when you have unlimited PTO, people actually end up taking less PTO than if there's like a minimum requirement, because you're like, I could take a ton of time, but like, what's the expectation? What's the standard? There's not clear guidelines or like expectations around how much time you should be taking off. So like, how do you think about unlimited PTO, no minimums? Walk us through that.
No, it actually unlimited PTO can be a scam. Like, truly. It could be a Ponzi scheme if it's not.
Podcast over. We answered the question.
Mic drop. But no, it really can be that if you don't have certain things in place. And so everything you just said makes perfect sense. I get why people will be scared. If your manager is here 24/7 and you want to ask for time off to go hit up Target, because you should be using PTO for Target, not while you're on the job, especially if you're working remotely. Not that that's a little plug in there.
Who's going to Target? Kate's like, I got someone in mind.
Nobody. Absolutely nobody. But no, seriously, I could see why then people would be afraid to do it, because they're like, I'm not going to be the one to disappear and everyone's still working hard. But for me, I felt like what was important at Morning Brew is that like you need to create the culture for people to feel comfortable to disappear. And it happens in several ways. It can be by example, it could be through signaling, which is basically if someone's super senior, an executive or whatever, and I volunteer as tribute, so I love to disappear. I'll just let everyone know like, hey, I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere, or I'll threaten people. That's my favorite. Because as head of HR, I can do that. Who gonna report me? You know what I'm saying? So to be clear, for the sake we're on record, let me explain what that threatening is.
Yes. Break it down for us.
Let me break it all down. So the threatening basically is during onboarding, for example, I make extremely clear with my team or myself doing the onboarding that you need to take time off. If you do not take time off, we will find you. We know where you live. We know your social security number. We know where your bank accounts are.
Yeah, you have too much intel.
I have so much intel. That's why I joined HR, because I'm extremely nosy. But I use it for good. So basically, we're telling you, like, if you're not taking the time, we run up a report in our system that shows how much time you've taken. If we've noticed in the first quarter you haven't, we'll give a little slack. Keep it cute. Hey, girl, boo, them. Notice you didn't take time. Second quarter, if you do it again, we reach out to your manager.
Yeah.
Third time, there shouldn't be a third time. We got to unpack that at this point. But we make
Third
it
time you book the flight for them. A black car pulls up.
correct.
Bermuda.
Yeah,
Correct.
takes you to Bermuda.
Correct. Now I can't promise it'll be expensed, but
Well, you have the bank account from us, so you just
I'll
pull
just
that right
garnish.
from- yeah.
I'll just garnish
Yeah.
it. But yeah, that's what makes people feel comfortable to do it. And if they see that the head of HR is being so adamant about taking the time, making time for yourself, when people try to slack, well, people immediately know you will not slack while you're on the off the clock. I will shut your access off. I have done it. It's thrilling.
Yeah.
Absolutely thrilling.
And I think that's a really good point because that same Harris poll showed that 47% of respondents felt guilty taking time off. And whether that's like, I feel like I'm so important that I can't let the team down, or my boss doesn't take time off, so I'm not going to take time off. I think it's really important to have those boundaries set. Like, you should not be feeling guilty about taking time off. In fact, it's a required part of doing your job. We don't want you to be burned out. We don't want you to be pissed about working so much. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, threatening is actually a good
Yeah, when used for justice.
It's tough though, because you have all of this like flexibility. We're hybrid at Morning Brew, so like I could go work in upstate, I could go work in Bermuda, I could work in the office. It doesn't matter. But because of that, like, you can always be online. So like what I find is, like, even when I take vacation, my phone has Slack on it. My computer's right there. Like, it's really hard to log off. And I think burnout isn't necessarily just your like time off policy or being able to take a vacation. It is the ability to actually log off.
Yeah.
And Kayla cited some stats about like why people feel it's tough. One of the common ones is they're afraid that they're going to come back to like too much workload.
Yeah.
Like, if I take a week vacation,
My God.
great, but then I come back and I feel like I have to a week's worth of work to catch up on.
Yeah.
That's super stressful. So like, it just feels like a very hard situation to navigate as an employee, understanding like how much time you should take off, feeling comfortable when you come back there won't be a ton of work. And I feel like it's common everywhere.
Yeah, I agree. And another stat that we were talking about is 65% of respondents found the balance between working and taking personal time to be challenging. But that number is actually different depending on who you're talking to. So 70% of women said that it was challenging to find that balance, and 74% of millennials. So I'm in that peak section. I'm nervous about taking time, and I do not take enough time off. I think but I think it's that ability to shut off that's also very important. And I do think even though we have a really good PTO policy, it's up to the person. Like what you were saying, we're adults.
Yeah.
Like, you can threaten, you can be as like amazing. You can have the right PTO policy and still have people that are like, ugh, I just can't take time off. It's like, well, that's a you problem at that point, right? Because it's like, just disconnect. It's okay.
It's a really interesting point, like this balance between giving your employees like agency, like unlimited PTO, like nothing is stopping you, and the understanding that like people need to feel comfortable and like safe to do that.
That's right.
And what was interesting in this Harris poll study, 83% of people actually were satisfied with their time off policy.
Okay.
They were like, it's not the policy. 78% felt like they weren't taking enough time off because of the culture.
Yeah.
It's like the policy is amazing, but if I'm never seeing my manager take time off, like, and it's not modeled, you were talking about modeling and signaling, like, then people feel like, well, if I do take time off, is there going to be like punishment? Am I going to be viewed differently? So it is really interesting. Like, the policy is part of the equation. Culture is also the other part, and maybe more important.
Yeah.
I would say it actually is. The culture supports the policy. When HR people or people in general are creating policies or putting handbooks together, the policy needs to make sense for the culture. So that's why I said it could literally be a scam if you're just, it really can be a scam if you're just creating, unlimited this and unlimited that. And it's like, but the culture freaking sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like, what now the policies feel toxic. And it's like, what was the point of even having that in place?
Is there ever like tension for you? Because, right, you can control the policy really well, and you can like model some of the culture yourself. But ultimately, there's also culture set by every manager at the company. So I wonder if you're like, I made this amazing policy. I am doing my part to like establish the culture, but this freaking manager is like so locked in. They won't take time off, and their whole team is like suffering. Like, are you ever just like pissed that some of it is out of your control, or?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, hypothetically. Hypothetically.
I want names.
Meet me after. But no, I definitely do. And that goes with the culture thing again, where I think like in the company, because I make myself so accessible and so visible for people to know, like, okay, we know HR feels like this.
Yep.
So it makes people feel comfortable in knowing that, like, dang, like if it does get to a point where like my boss is just never out of their seat or just constantly on Slack and like giving us a feeling like we cannot take time or enjoy the luxury of flexibility, because PTO is not just necessarily taking the time, but it's like the flexibility of doing what you can, then I've found that people feel comfortable coming to me about it, and then someone now is being called into the principal's office.
Yep.
Lovingly.
Yep.
Lovingly. But it's like, look, as a manager, you are a steward of culture. So if you cannot emulate this, we need to figure out what we need to do to get you there.
Yeah.
And it's crazy as hell at this point. If I'm trying to tell you, hey, let's figure out how to make you more fun.
No.
You've heard of vacations, right?
My gosh.
You know there's other places but the office. Like, go check them out.
Things to do. Well, what's even wilder is when they're remote. So it's like, come on, you're not even in the office.
Yeah.
Someone just like puts up a fake background on Zoom of like the beach. They're like, no, I'm on vacation. It's like, I see, like it's going in and out. I see your cat at home.
It's glitching.
And we'll be right back after this. Okay, back to the show. I actually have a confession to make. I was that.
Kayla, be very careful about what you're going to say here.
No. Say it very loud and clear into the microphone, please. We can even zoom in if you want.
Yeah, no. Guys, I was that manager. So when I was managing Charlotte, I think I was very fun. So that was not a problem. But I had a very hard time taking time off myself. My previous roles, I think I will reiterate that Morning Brew does a very good job of making sure that PTO is prioritized within reason, obviously, but I hadn't had that in my past jobs. And so I was almost like trained into, I'm a hard worker and therefore I'm not going to be taking the PTO that I want or need in order to be my best self and my most productive self. But mentally, I knew that people should be taking time off. So with my direct report, Charlotte, I was like, you haven't been taking any time off. You need to take more time. And she was like, girl, look at the mirror. Like, I'm not taking time off because you're not taking time off.
Right.
And you telling me, oh, go like take the day. We had a long week. Like, I don't want you to come in today. Like, that's great. But then I feel guilty because, you know, you're not taking the time off. I'm like, just forget about me. Like, just take your time off. But then it was true. And then she finally, it was like, okay, I actually am going to take some time and I'm not going to check Slack. I'm not going to be like, you know, pretending to be off, but still like locked in because nobody's that important, you know?
I agree.
Like Charlotte could figure it out. And that actually really helped. And so for me, that was a real learning experience where like, it's not modeling behavior just to like, I don't know, for the sake of them. It's like, you also need the PTO. You need to take the time and nobody's that important that you have to be in the office. You have to be grinding, and taking that one day or that 1 week off a quarter is not going to like ruin your career. It's actually probably going to make you come back refreshed. So that was like a big learning moment for me when I was like, I kind of am that person.
Yeah. You know what? I've heard this before with millennial managers at the very least, because I think that with us coming into the workforce, we worked for managers who did not give.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, beep, 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 beep. So I feel like now we feel compelled to like over-index.
Yeah.
And just be like, no, sweetie, this is gentle managing.
Yes.
I'm in my gentle parent managing era, and you don't have to overextend yourself. But granted, it's at our own dispense.
Yes.
But
yes, exactly. I completely agree. It's like we're trying to like, not to make this like so dramatic, we're trying to break like generational trauma.
This sounds like a Bluey episode. Keep going.
But like of our managers, like our managers were very intense and they were like, this is how things have to go. And we're like, wait, things don't have to go like this. How can I like break that cycle? But it's still ingrained in me as this is something I have to do. I just don't want the next generation of workers to like have to suffer in the same way.
That's it.
So hopefully Gen Z is going to be like the best level of managers, or maybe they're going to be like, girl, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Oh.
Who knows?
Stay tuned.
We'll be back in 5 years with an update.
I mean, this did remind me of my favorite term, which Kayla hates, which is hard work gatekeeping.
It's so stupid. We brought this up like many an episode ago.
It's where managers tell their direct reports, like, hey, you have to take time off. It's so important. Like, don't work that hard. But then they don't take time off themselves.
Oh, okay.
And it's like only them can be the ones that like only they can be the ones that work hard and like grind all the time. And I do think, to Kayla's point, like it creates a very weird environment where you're encouraging someone else to do something you're not willing to do yourself. So like either tell them don't take a vacation or tell them to take a vacation, but you have to as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
really
maybe
do.
the second one, don't tell people to not take vacations.
Take the vacation and take it with, actually don't take it with them.
No.
But take vacation and let them know you're taking vacation as well.
So just to situate this in terms of hustle culture, because there was another interesting stat in this Harris poll that said 85% of American workers just agree that America glorifies a culture of being busy.
Very true.
And I felt like, there's like the toxic version of hustle culture, but there's also the like, I work hard, I'm putting in extra hours, I want to grow in my career, I'm showing up all the time. I do feel like in general that is rewarded. And so there's this balance between like wanting to work hard, always being on, going above and beyond, and then also taking time off. And there feels like there's a tension. Like I'm hearing take time off because you're supposed to, but then I'm also hearing if you work hard, you're going to get rewarded. Where's the balance there?
I think it comes from the person really taking a hard look at themselves.
Yeah.
And like truly understanding what would satisfy the need of what that time off looks like. Because I also know there's some people where it's like, look, whatever, because you also can't assume that whatever job that person is like their career job or their passion job. It could just very much be like, I'm just here for the today of things.
9 to 5, 8 job.
The bills are outside and I got to pay them.
Yep.
And that's fine. But you may be in the opportunity where you're in a job that like really fulfills you. And so the hard work may not even feel like the hard work itself. But as a human, you need to understand like you just need to touch grass.
Yeah.
Find a tree, hug it.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to rebrand like taking time off for like people that are into hustle culture as like you're going to be even better when you come back. It's like the off season, like every NBA player, you need an off season so you come back stronger. Like you need to frame it in terms of how it'll help them work if they really want to latch on, because saying like, oh, just take time off for like well-being, they're like, I don't care about that.
Well-being.
Yeah,
What
it's
are you there
like,
for?
what's that?
I'm grinding.
Yeah, we need to rebrand vacation for hustle culture.
What should we call it?
Well, definitely not vacation. That's a
Yeah,
trigger word.
no, it's like training.
The level
Training.
up, spring training.
It's a little off season.
The level up.
That'll go very, very far.
So, Kate, I have some stats for you that I want you to react to live. There was some really interesting questions they asked in this Harris poll, and so I'm going to read them to you now. Just live take.
Okay.
38% of workers have moved their mouse to maintain online status.
I have strong concerns. Strong concerns. 38%?
Yes.
What does that mean, though?
You know Slack, keeping the green bubble?
So, they're not doing work?
They're not doing work. They're just moving their mouse so it
seem like
looks
they're
like
doing
they're
something.
online.
I've done that.
Nearly 40%.
Hey, where have you done this?
I've done that once. I've done that a few times. Okay. But it's not like, it's like, oh, I don't need to be on right now. It's like, I have a break right now, but I want to be available. I still want to be able to see when the Slacks come in. So maybe I'm painting my nails, but I'm moving my mouse so that I can still stay on, so that when somebody pings me, I can see it.
When it pings you, your computer will come on, I assure you.
At Pinky
Yeah,
Promise.
you're
Also very
lying right
dangerous
now.
doing nails and moving a mouse.
I know, you're
Yeah.
right. You're
The
right.
commitment to that is insane.
It's true. But I've done it a few. I mean, it's not like I'm not like consistently doing that so it looks like I'm working when I'm not. Because again, I'm an adult. If I have work, I'm going to do the work. If I don't have work, I'm probably going to relax a little bit. But I have moved the mouse just to
I feel like if you have to do that at your company, like you got to leave.
So that was
Like,
gonna be my thing. Like, so like, why do you even feel the need to do
Yeah,
that?
that's
Because at the end of the day, like, if someone wants to hit you up, they will find you.
Yeah,
that is
you're
the beautiful world of technology. Exactly like Kyle said, your computer will turn on, you will see it, and you'll be like, oh, look at that.
That's
Joe
true.
needed me.
Yep.
This is why I feel like there's like some companies that it feels like you're literally in a like surveillance state.
Yeah.
And people like, why are managers even checking on like, if their direct reports are moving their mouse, like, don't you have something better to do as well? Like,
Apparently not.
I feel like we've kind of gone off the rails if 40% of people have said they're moving their mouse just to appear online. That's not good.
That sounds chill. Like, that sends chills down my spine. Like, I literally cannot. Big Brother on my back like that, I could not operate. I could not.
You were saying earlier today that there's like some software that will do that.
Yeah,
too?
there are softwares. I mean, Morning Brew does not have Morning Brew does not have these softwares. I swear we do not have them. But they exist. They literally exist where they monitor like what you're doing, the active hours you put in by the second.
That's crazy.
There's some apps that have that as well. So if you have Slack on your phone, like that's another way for them to do it too. Like the only thing they won't pull is your blood type. But like
And that's coming soon.
Yeah.
That's in the next.
That's the beta test.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. I mean, no, it's probably already here. They're just waiting for a launch date and a launch party. But it exists. There's a bigger question. Again, this goes back to the culture where it's like supporting the policy. Like if you actually need to do that, you might as well just have people in the office then. If you felt so compelled to really just know what people are doing remotely, just look at them across the cubicle.
Yeah.
So another stat for you. 37% of people have scheduled an email, scheduled it outside of traditional working hours to appear like they're working later.
What?
I don't know. I kind of respect that hustle.
It's funny. I literally had a tweet like making fun of this. I was like,
screenshotted it once.
Wait, what was the tweet?
I was like, pro tip, schedule a Slack for like 9 p.m. so it looks like you're grinding as a complete joke. Well, apparently 40% of people are doing that. Again, like, what's going on with the culture?
Oh, wait. Maybe I misunderstood. So the stat is that they're sending Slacks, they're scheduling it like outside?
Yeah, 40% of people, approximately, have scheduled send an email for like 9 p.m.
Okay.
So then it looks like they're replying at 9 p.m.
Okay. Yeah, that's insanity. Yeah, please scratch off my last reaction. I misunderstood the tweet, but that's insane. I thought you were saying like maybe you're working after hours and that's your business. No one's asking you to, but if you're working after hours and then scheduling like a 9 a.m.
That I do that sometimes because it's not their responsibility. It's not someone else's responsibility to react to me when I'm working. If I choose to work after hours, this though is the reverse, which I think is extremely toxic.
Yes.
Because then it's like, also, it's so obvious when there's like 9 p.m. exact.
No, you got to do 9:03.
Come on, everybody knows it's 9:03.
Level up.
Be
like,
for real.
They'll schedule it like for like an off time. That's so stupid to me. That's so dumb.
That's weaponizing.
Also, if they respond immediately and you don't respond, it's like, oh, you weren't online.
Exactly. Now look at you. Foolish. At 9:07.
Yeah, foolish behavior. I hate that.
So we've talked a lot about like unlimited PTO. Is it a scam? Is it not? Policy versus culture. And I want to get to some tactics for people listening. But before I do that, like we have our head of HR who is incredible, Kate. I feel like we'd be remiss to not ask you a few questions.
Okay.
What is, if for people listening, what is a misconception about HR that you feel like a lot of employees have that you want to put to bed?
Thank you so much for asking.
Yes.
We are good people. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding. We actually are good people. But I think good HR people, because it's kind of hard to give blanket statements about stuff like that. But when it comes to HR, I know the initial thought is to think like HR is only for the employer or like anything that they do is like, it's never in the interest of the employee. And while there are certain instances where that is in fact true, but for the HR person who actually cares about the business, you understand the employees being in a place of satisfaction, happiness, full wellness. That is also my job. Like I pursue that actively every single day. I think another misconception is that like HR is dry as toast.
I mean, you're on a podcast right now, so clearly not.
Well, but I'm the exception. You know what I'm saying? So, and that just makes my job a whole lot easier. But like, I know all the time I get the comment like, whoa, like, I never thought HR would be like this, or like I have to remind people I'm HR. Like, don't tell me you're leaving. Please don't tell me you're leaving. I know this is a great conversation and you feel locked in with me. But I have a job to do. I have a job to do.
People will just like tell you they're like breaking rules and forget.
Yes.
That's so funny.
I'm like, wait, come again? They're like, I have an all hands to go to. I'm like, the all hands I'm leading? What are you talking about?
I have the same all hands as you.
Correct.
Oh my God.
I sent the calendar invite. So I would probably say that's like the two things. Like one, just understanding like, yes, we do protect the company in whatever sense, but like we do also need to protect the employee. And putting things in place is supposed to support that. And HR people are humans too. And some of us have a little razzle dazzle if you just give us a chance to show you.
Well, I think you are actually like a really great example of exactly what you're saying. Like, you are such a vibrant part of the culture of the company while still being like fantastic at your HR specific roles.
Thank you.
And I do think people view like you almost can't have that culture piece because you have to be buttoned up in HR, but like you can still, it's actually about like role modeling. You're demonstrating the culture you want people to feel at Morning Brew, and there's no better person to do that actually than HR.
Absolutely. I hear that comment every single time when they come in and like, whoa, like seeing you be this person makes me feel comfortable to show up as my authentic self to work, or be like, it's not just talk. You could write it out in an email, put a Slack, but it's like, oh no, this crazy girl, she really means this. And I think if you show people you're smart, and I think that's our culture here, if you show people you're smart and you show people you're intentional, they trust everything else. So whatever that personality is, whether it's quirky, whether it's quiet, introverted or extroverted, like if you get the job done and you know what the hell you're talking about, have a good ass time while you're doing it.
I love it. That just fired me up.
Good.
Before we get to tactics, my last question. When are Kaila and I getting raises?
So we are now about to break for our sponsors. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be right back after these messages. Cue music.
We'll talk about that after the show. All right, let's move on to tactics. Again, we covered unlimited PTO. We covered culture versus policy. Reframing. If I'm an employee listening to this or I'm an employer listening to this, what are tactics you want people to walk away with when it comes to PTO, vacation? Maybe Kaila, we'll start with you and we'll just work down this way.
So I have a little thing that I came up with now that I'm now going to use.
Real time, breaking news.
This is real time. I'm now going to actually use this. So 1 day a month, you take off. 1 week a quarter, you take off. And that's it. That's the tactic.
Boom. Solved.
I like that.
Kate's like, let's put that into writing.
Yeah, hold on. I need to update the handbook, I think. Go ahead. Say that one more time.
Yeah. 1 day a month, you should take off. And 1 week a quarter, you should take off. That means, you're getting, that's actually kind of a lot.
10 days a quarter.
10 days a quarter.
That's fair.
Yeah. 8 days a quarter.
I was a philosophy major.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just hire.
Yeah.
So I really don't know how math works.
That's not bad.
All right. I like that tactic.
I do.
Kate,
Actually.
advice, tactics for the listeners.
Just remember that PTO means prepare the others.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it will set you free. So just disappear. And also remember that PTO doesn't necessarily mean you have to leave or do vacation. It could just bed rotting.
Yep.
And that's completely fine.
Yep.
And then I do think scheduling. I have to agree with that. I think scheduling it. Maybe not 10 days a quarter.
Yeah.
We could work on numbers there once we have that conversation after, but I do actually think like just scheduling the time for yourself and then just being very vocal about it. So then at that point, people kind of know like, oh, Kate's going to take her 1 day a month type of thing. So you just decide what that looks like and make it make sense.
Yeah.
I love it. My two are, we've talked about this, but I do think I didn't understand this fully when I was a manager here at Morning Brew about modeling the behavior that you want your teams to take. So I think it is very important, even if you are like built different, you got that grind set, like you should still be demonstrating the culture you want other people to take. And I think it is inappropriate to tell your direct reports to take vacation when you're not taking it yourself. So like be the person you want to be in, or be the change you want to see in the world, I guess.
Yes,
Wow.
counselor.
I think
counselor.
I think Gandhi was probably talking about something much more important than PTO when he said that. But my second piece of advice is I feel like people have this idea that PTO has to be a week-long vacation.
Right. Yeah.
You're traveling. Like, I actually think it's really sustainable to do exactly what you're saying. Take like a day every month or every 3 weeks and just chill. Like, go for a walk. Don't look at work for a day.
Yeah.
Go do something that like you wouldn't do in your city. I think we build up all of this stress and then we're like, okay, I finally have a week vacation. Oh my gosh. And it's this roller coaster of like up and down. And that's how you think you get
Craziness.
burnout.
Yeah.
If you schedule like days every so often, you can stay a little more even keeled. And I just think that's a lot better for like longevity of your career and your mental well-being.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Can I say 2 more things?
Yes,
I was
go.
a liar before and I want to say something now. So I have a thing to say to HR people. My people, come on in, community. I think it's also our responsibility to remind the executive team to disappear. And I feel like the only person who could probably confidently do that is your head of HR without fear of like, is my job on the line? So I think it's just so important to just remind, because I know also for when it comes to like C-suite or just SVP, whatever those letters jumble up together as. It's just so easy to be like, oh no, well I'm this person, so I can't. Go away. Go away. HR people tell those people to go away and then go away yourself. So I feel like that's a gentle Post-it note reminder just to say that. And the other thing that I had to learn so many times over is that if you do in fact take vacation, child, put a day buffer between when you come back from wherever you come to before you come back to work.
Yes.
I am a victim of getting off the plane, Delta supremacy, you already know, getting off the plane and immediately going to work the next day.
Yep.
Bag is not unpacked.
Yep. I'm
fighting for my life because it was an all-inclusive. If you know, you know. And it's like, why do that to yourself? Now you're tired from the vacation.
Yeah.
You did not give yourself the space to breathe. If you can, put a day buffer between when you're back from wherever you're actually doing, whatever you decided to do, and when you come back into work. Chef's kiss. It'll make a world of difference.
So that's like PTO is prepare the others.
Correct.
And that last day is PY, prepare yourself.
Ooh, that is a message.
We just dropped a new acronym.
My
We just
gosh.
solved PTO.
Yeah, we just
issues.
solved PTO. Another thing solved on Per My Last
Wow,
Email.
crazy.
I think it's time to wrap this up. Kate, thank you so much for joining us in the studio. It was lovely to have you.
I appreciate you guys letting me threaten you to allow myself to come
This
here.
was amazing. Anytime.
Yeah, Kate could really come back whenever she wants. Yeah, she just has to let us know.
You heard that.
Should we roll the credits?
Let's do it.
Our producer is Michaela Hack.
Our technical director is Uchenna Ogum.
Sean O'Connor is our production designer.
And our chief content officer is Devin Emery.
This show is a production of Morning Brew.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.